You call that a weapon? My little sister's toy could do more damage. The Targathian commander, a towering figure with scales shimmering under the harsh light of Earth's twin suns, sneered at the human soldier standing defiantly before him. His contingent of warriors erupted in mocking laughter, their guttural tones reverberating through the charred ruins of Chicago. Sergeant Lex Carter stood his ground, gripping the handle of a weapon that, by Targathian standards, was nothing more than a relic. To them, human firearms were laughably primitive, akin to the sticks and stones of a bygone era. They couldn't have been more wrong. The war had begun only months earlier, a sudden and devastating invasion by the Targathian Empire. Humanity, caught off guard and vastly outmatched by the invaders' advanced technology, had suffered catastrophic losses. Entire cities were razed, and billions perished in the initial onslaught. The Targathians' plasma weapons, capable of vaporizing tanks and buildings alike, made quick work of Earth's defenses. But humans are nothing if not resilient. As the Targathians pushed deeper into Earth's territories, a resistance formed, utilizing guerrilla tactics and the one thing the aliens underestimated: human ingenuity. Lex glanced at his comrades, a ragtag group of survivors and soldiers who had seen too much death and destruction. Each man held a similar weapon, an assault rifle designed decades ago. Outdated, yes, but with a surprise the Targathians couldn't foresee. "You got a last request, human?" the commander sneered, his reptilian eyes narrowing. "Yeah," Lex replied, a grim smile playing on his lips. "Laugh it up while you can." With that, he pulled the trigger. The rifle roared to life, expelling not bullets but a concentrated beam of energy. The Targathian commander's eyes widened in shock as the beam tore through his armor, cutting him down where he stood. The laughter died instantly, replaced by cries of confusion and fear. The secret was simple yet brilliant. Earth scientists had managed to reverse engineer the alien plasma technology, adapting it to fit human weapons. The result was a hybrid firearm that looked deceptively archaic but packed a punch strong enough to pierce even the Targathians' formidable defenses. The battlefield erupted into chaos. Lex and his squad moved with practiced precision, their modified rifles cutting through the alien ranks. The Targathians, unprepared for the sudden shift in power, faltered. Their technological arrogance had left them vulnerable, and now they paid the price. "Move. Secure the perimeter," Lex barked, his voice carrying over the din of battle. His men responded instantly, fanning out and taking up defensive positions. The Targathians, disoriented and leaderless, fell back, their once unstoppable advance now a frantic retreat. Lex crouched behind a fallen piece of rubble, reloading his weapon. He stole a glance at the horizon, where the silhouette of an alien dropship loomed ominously. Reinforcements were on the way, but they still had time. They had to make every second count. "Captain Ortiz, status report," Lex called into his radio. "Perimeter secure, Sergeant. We've taken out most of their heavy units." "What's our next move?" came the reply. Lex considered their options. They had the element of surprise, but that wouldn't last. The Targathians would adapt quickly, and their numerical superiority was still a significant threat. "Regroup at the central plaza," Lex ordered. "We need to hold this position until command can send reinforcements. And keep an eye on that dropship. It's bound to be trouble." As his men moved to comply, Lex allowed himself a moment of reflection. They had achieved a small victory, but the war was far from over. The Targathians were ruthless and relentless, and humanity's survival depended on more than just clever tricks and modified weapons. "Sergeant," a voice called, snapping him back to reality. It was Private Lewis, a young recruit with a perpetually nervous expression. "We've got movement on the east flank. Looks like a scouting party." Lex nodded. "All right, Lewis. You and Diaz take point. We'll cover you." The two soldiers moved out, their movements careful and deliberate. Lex watched them go, a mixture of pride and concern filling his chest. They were good men, brave and resourceful, but bravery alone wouldn't win this war. He turned his attention back to the battlefield, scanning for any signs of the enemy. The Targathians were regrouping, their disciplined ranks forming up for another assault. Lex knew they wouldn't give up easily. They would come back stronger and more determined. "Steady, boys," he muttered, tightening his grip on his rifle. "Let's show them what humans are made of." As the Targathians began their advance, Lex felt a surge of determination. They had faced impossible odds before and emerged victorious. They would do it again. For Earth, for humanity, for the fallen. The first wave of Targathians charged, their plasma rifles blazing. Lex and his squad met them with a hail of energy beams, cutting down the attackers with ruthless efficiency. The battle was far from over, but with every alien that fell, their chances of survival grew. Lex knew they couldn't hold out forever, but for now, they had the upper hand, and that was enough. For now, they would fight and they would win, because they had to. Because there was no other choice. "Give them hell, boys," Lex shouted, his voice rising above the cacophony of war. "This is our planet, and we're not going down without a fight." The battle raged on, but amidst the chaos, a glimmer of hope shone through. Humanity had found a way to fight back, to turn the tide against their oppressors. And as long as they had that, they had a chance to win, a chance to survive. The Targathian dropship landed with a resounding thud, its massive bulk sinking into the rubble-strewn ground. The alien reinforcements disembarked swiftly, their formation precise and intimidating. Lex watched from his vantage point, his mind racing. They needed to buy time, keep the aliens off balance until their own reinforcements arrived. "Ortiz, get your men ready," Lex ordered. "We need to hit that dropship before they can get their bearings. If we can take out their command unit, it'll throw them into disarray." "Roger that, Sergeant," Ortiz replied, signaling his squad. "We're on it." Lex motioned to Lewis and Diaz. "You two, cover the left flank. Keep their snipers off our backs. The rest of you, with me. We're going straight for their landing zone." The squad moved out, slipping through the shattered remnants of what was once a bustling metropolis. The air was thick with the acrid stench of smoke and the metallic tang of blood. Every step was a reminder of what they were fighting for. As they approached the dropship, the ground shook with the force of explosions. Lex's squad opened fire, their modified rifles unleashing deadly beams of energy. The Targathians, caught off guard, scrambled to return fire. Plasma bolts streaked through the air, narrowly missing their targets. "Keep pushing forward," Lex shouted, his voice barely audible over the din of battle. "We need to get closer." Ortiz and his men advanced with fierce determination, their weapons blazing. They focused their fire on the dropship's landing gear, hoping to disable it and trap the reinforcements inside. The alien metal, though resilient, began to buckle under the sustained assault. "Sergeant, we've got a problem," Lewis yelled, his voice tinged with panic. "Snipers on the rooftops." Lex turned just in time to see a bright flash from a nearby building. He dove to the ground, narrowly avoiding the plasma bolt that seared the air where he'd been standing. "Diaz, take them out. Lewis, keep their infantry pinned down." The squad split their focus, engaging the snipers while continuing their assault on the dropship. Lex's heart pounded in his chest. They were outnumbered and outgunned, but they couldn't afford to lose this position. Diaz, a sharpshooter with nerves of steel, took aim at the alien snipers. One by one, he picked them off, his precision and calm demeanor a stark contrast to the chaos around him. With the immediate threat neutralized, Lex refocused on the dropship. "Ortiz now. Hit it with everything you've got," Lex commanded. Ortiz and his men unleashed a torrent of energy beams at the dropship's exposed underbelly. The concentrated firepower finally paid off. With a deafening roar, the landing gear gave way, and the massive vessel tilted precariously to one side. The Targathian reinforcements inside were thrown into disarray, their disciplined ranks collapsing into chaos. "Fall back," the alien commander barked, his voice laced with frustration and anger. "Not so fast," Lex muttered. "Press the attack. Don't let them regroup." With renewed vigor, Lex's squad surged forward. The aliens, now leaderless and disorganized, fell back under the relentless human assault. Plasma rifles clattered to the ground as Targathians were cut down or forced into a hasty retreat. In the midst of the fray, Lex spotted the alien commander, a hulking figure attempting to rally his troops. Determined to end this fight decisively, Lex charged forward, his rifle trained on the target. The commander saw him coming and raised his weapon, but Lex was faster. He fired a single, well-aimed shot that struck the commander square in the chest, sending him sprawling to the ground. "Commander's down," Lex shouted. "Finish them off." With their leader defeated, the remaining Targathians broke ranks and fled, their morale shattered. Lex's squad chased them out of the plaza, securing the area once and for all. As the dust settled, Lex took a moment to catch his breath. They had won a crucial battle, but the war was far from over. He looked at his men, exhausted but victorious, and felt a surge of pride. "Good work, everyone," he said, his voice steady. "We've shown them what we're capable of. Now let's get ready for the next fight. This is our planet, and we're not giving up without a fight." His men cheered, their spirits lifted by the hard-fought victory. For the first time since the invasion began, hope burned brightly in their hearts. They had proven that humanity was not so easily defeated, that even against the might of the Targathian Empire, they could hold their own. Lex knew there would be more battles to come, more sacrifices to be made. But for now, they had won a significant victory, and that was enough. They would fight on, for Earth, for humanity, and for the future they all believed in. The silence that followed the victory was deafening. Lex took a deep breath, surveying the devastation around him. The plaza was littered with alien corpses and the smoldering wreckage of their dropship. The acrid smell of burning metal and ozone filled the air. Lex knew they had only a brief respite before the Targathians would regroup and strike back. "All right, let's move," Lex ordered, his voice firm. "We need to fortify this position and prepare for the next wave." His squad moved quickly, setting up barricades and scavenging for usable equipment from the fallen aliens. Lex approached Captain Ortiz, who was coordinating the efforts of his men. "Captain, we need to establish a defensive perimeter. Use whatever we can find. Those Targathians will be back, and we need to be ready." Ortiz nodded, wiping sweat from his brow. "Understood, Sergeant. We'll make this place a fortress." As his men worked, Lex took a moment to check in with his superiors. He pulled out his radio, tuning into the Resistance's command frequency. "This is Sergeant Carter, calling Central Command. Do you copy?" There was a crackle of static before a familiar voice came through. "This is Major Williams. We read you, Carter. What's your status?" "We've secured the plaza and repelled the Targathian forces, but they'll be back soon. We need reinforcements and supplies ASAP." "Roger that, Carter. Reinforcements are en route, but it'll take some time. Hold your position and do what you can to prepare." "Command out." Lex put away the radio, feeling a mixture of relief and anxiety. Reinforcements were coming, but the question was whether they'd arrive in time. He joined Lewis and Diaz, who were inspecting the fallen Targathian commander's weapon. "What do you make of this?" he asked. Lewis, the squad's tech specialist, examined the alien rifle with keen interest. "It's a plasma rifle, but more advanced than what we've seen so far. This could give us an edge if we can figure out how to use it." "Do it," Lex said. "Anything that can give us an advantage, we need it." As Lewis and Diaz set to work, Lex took stock of their supplies. Ammunition was running low, and their makeshift energy weapons, while effective, were not infinite. They needed to conserve their resources and make every shot count. Hours passed as the squad fortified their position. The sun began to set, casting long shadows across the ruined city. The tension was palpable. Lex's men, though weary, were resolute. They knew what was at stake. "Sergeant," Private Lewis called, approaching with the modified plasma rifle. "I think I've got it working. It's not perfect, but it should pack a punch." Lex took the weapon, feeling its weight in his hands. "Good job, Lewis. Let's hope we don't need to use it, but if we do, we'll be ready." Night fell, and the city was plunged into darkness. The squad hunkered down, their eyes scanning the horizon for any signs of movement. The silence was oppressive, broken only by the occasional distant rumble of explosions from other parts of the city. Suddenly, a faint hum filled the air. Lex's heart raced as he recognized the sound. Another dropship. The Targathians were coming back. "Everyone, get ready," Lex barked, his voice cutting through the tension. Positions. This is it. The dropship appeared over the skyline, its ominous shape illuminated by the glow of the city's remaining fires. It descended slowly, flanked by smaller craft. The Targathians were coming in force this time. Lex gripped his rifle, his knuckles white. "Hold your fire until they're in range," he ordered. "We need to make every shot count." The dropship touched down, and Targathian soldiers began to disembark, their movements coordinated and precise. Lex's squad waited, their breath held, fingers on triggers. "Now!" Lex shouted, and the plaza erupted in a storm of energy beams and gunfire. The initial volley caught the Targathians off guard, cutting down the first wave of soldiers before they could react. The battle was fierce and chaotic. Lex's men fought with everything they had, using their fortified positions to their advantage. The modified plasma rifles proved their worth, slicing through the alien armor with ease. But the Targathians were relentless. They pressed forward, their sheer numbers overwhelming. Lex saw his men falling back, their defenses crumbling under the onslaught. "Hold the line," he shouted, firing his plasma rifle at an advancing Targathian. "We can't let them break through." Despite their best efforts, the aliens began to gain ground. Lex felt a sinking feeling in his chest. They were being pushed back, inch by inch. "Sergeant, we've got to fall back." Ortiz yelled over the din of battle. "We can't hold them off much longer." Lex knew he was right. They were outnumbered and outgunned. But retreating meant giving up their position and possibly losing the city. Just then, a loud roar echoed through the night sky. Lex looked up to see a squadron of human fighter jets streaking overhead, their engines blazing. They launched a barrage of missiles at the dropship, the explosions lighting up the sky. The Targathians were caught off guard, their formation breaking as they tried to respond to the new threat. Lex seized the opportunity. "Now, push them back," he yelled, leading his men in a counterattack. They surged forward, their renewed assault driving the aliens into disarray. The fighter jets continued their bombardment, targeting the dropship and the alien reinforcements. The tide of battle shifted once again, this time in favor of the humans. Lex fought with everything he had, his men rallying around him. They pushed the Targathians back, reclaiming their lost ground and driving the invaders into a full retreat. The dropship, heavily damaged, attempted to lift off but was struck by a final missile, exploding in a fiery ball of debris. The remaining Targathian soldiers, leaderless and demoralized, fled into the night. As the dust settled, Lex looked around at his squad. They were battered and bruised, but alive. They had held the line and won the day. "We did it," Ortiz said, his voice filled with awe and exhaustion. "We actually did it." Lex nodded, a weary smile on his face. "Yeah, we did. But this is just one battle. The war's not over yet." The reinforcements arrived soon after, securing the area and tending to the wounded. Lex took a moment to rest, his body aching from the fight. He knew there would be more battles to come, but for now, they had won a significant victory. As he looked out over the city, Lex felt a surge of hope. Humanity had proven that they could stand up to the Targathians, that they could fight back and win. It would be a long and difficult road, but they had taken the first step towards reclaiming their world. "We'll fight them," he said softly, more to himself than anyone else. "We'll fight them and we'll win. For Earth, for humanity, for our future." And with that, Lex stood up, ready to face whatever came next. Because no matter how tough the fight, he knew they would never give up. They would fight on, for as long as it took, until the Targathians were driven from their planet and humanity was free once more. Watch as Sergeant Lex Carter and his ragtag squad of resistance fighters defend a ruined city against the relentless Targathian invaders. With outdated human firearms enhanced by reverse-engineered alien technology, they managed to turn the tide of battle. Amidst chaos and destruction, Lex and his team showcase humanity's resilience and ingenuity, proving that even against overwhelming odds, they won't back down. Experience the intense combat, strategic fortifications, and the exhilarating arrival of reinforcements that lead to a hard-won victory in this gripping sci-fi showdown.